In this video, I will be discussing about the maxillary premolars. Now, premolars are the teeth that are present anterior to the molars, and they are eight in number. And for the maxillary premolars are four in number. That is two in each upper arch. They are often termed as bicuspids because they have two cusps. We write them as this is the notation given to them for Zsigmond de Palmer. According to Zsigmond de Palmer, and according to FDI, we write them as 1, 4, 2, 4 depending upon the side, left or right. And no premolars are present in the primary dentition. So we do not see any premolars in the primary dentition. Now coming to the various aspects of the premolars. So first is the maxillary first premolar, discussing its buccal aspect. Now the crown is roughly trapezoidal and the mesial outline, as you can see, is slightly concave. Here, as you can see, it is slightly concave. The contact area on the mesial side is here. You can see this is somewhat halfway between the cervical line and the cusp tip. So this is somewhat halfway, but it is towards the occlusal side. So now coming to the mesial slope. The mesial slope is straight and longer than the distal slope. This is the mesial slope and this is the distal slope. So the mesial slope is longer than the distal slope and sometimes it is notched. The distal contact area, as you can see here, is somewhat at a higher or towards the occlusal than the mesial contact area. Now the buccal cusp is long and pointed, and the buccal surface is convex and has a middle buccal ridge. This is the ridge present. Here you have the ridge. Now coming to the lingual side. The lingual side tapers. The crown tapers towards the lingual side and you can find a lingual ridge over this part. There are two cusps which can be seen from this aspect. One is the palatal or the lingual cusp and second is the buccal cusp. Now it is because the lingual cusp is, or the palatal cusp is shorter, 1 mm shorter, usually 1 mm shorter than the buccal cusp. Now the mesial and distal outlines are convex from this side and the cervical line is regular and curved towards the root portion. It points apically. Now coming to the mesial and the distal surface. Now first we will discuss the mesial aspect. From the mesial aspect, the crown is roughly trapezoidal in shape and both cusps and roots are seen from this aspect. So we can see a buccal and a palatal cusp. We can see both the roots. So the buccal cusp, as I said, is 1 mm, or the lingual cusp is 1 mm shorter than the buccal cusp. Here you can see it clearly that this is at a higher level and this is at a lower level. The cervical line has a curvature of about 1 mm on the mesial side and the buccal outline is somewhat straight, but it tapers towards, it is lingually inclined, it tapers towards the lingual side. The lingual outline is also smooth and straight as we move towards the occlusal surface, but it doesn't taper that much. Now there are some more features on the mesial surface. You can see this depression here. This is known as mesial developmental depression, which extends up to the bifurcation. This is the bifurcation point. This is the bifurcation point where two roots get separated. And there is one more feature from this side, that is the mesial marginal developmental groove, as you can see here. This is the mesial marginal developmental groove. Now on the distal side, now coming to the distal aspect, from this aspect it is almost similar to the mesial aspect and the features are almost the same, but one thing you will notice here is the cervical line is almost straight and there is no mesial marginal developmental groove here. There is no marginal developmental groove here, and you can see both the cusp tips and both the roots from this aspect also. Now coming to the occlusal surface, from the occlusal surface the teeth is somewhat angular and hexagonal in shape. It has a mesial side, it has a distal side, it has mesiobuccal side, it has distobuccal side, it has distolingual and mesiolingual side. Now it also has a long central developmental groove here. This is the long central developmental groove. This part forms the buccal cusp tip and this is the lingual cusp. Now there are marginal ridges. These are the marginal ridges. This is of the mesial side, so this is the mesial marginal ridge and this is the distal marginal ridge. As you can see, these triangular areas, these are known as the mesial triangular fossa and this is known as the distal triangular fossa. And this point here, these are the mesial and distal developmental pits. Now coming to the chronology, this is the chronology of both the teeth. Now the maxillary second premolar. So first is the buccal aspect. This is the buccal aspect. From the buccal aspect, as you can see, it resembles the maxillary first premolar, but it is shorter than the maxillary first premolar and it is less pointed. The mesial slope here is shorter and the distal slope is longer. So it is the reverse as we studied in maxillary first premolar. The buccal ridge is present but it is not that much prominent in this tooth. From the lingual aspect, it almost resembles the maxillary first premolar, but there is a difference that the lingual cusp is placed at a higher level, so we can see only one cusp tip. So this is the main difference. Then we come to the mesial aspect. In the mesial aspect we can see there are two cusps and one root. So in maxillary first premolar we had two cusps and two roots, and there are no developmental depressions or marginal grooves present here. Another thing we see from this side, mesial or distal aspect, is that the distance between the two cusp tips, this and this, is increased as compared to maxillary first premolar. Now coming to the distal aspect, from the distal aspect it almost resembles the mesial aspect, but the difference is you can see a depression in root here which is more marked then the mesial side. So that is the only difference. So this is the distal, this was the mesial. Now coming to the occlusal portion, as you can see, as compared to maxillary first premolar, this tooth is more rounded. Maxillary first premolar was somewhat like this, and here it is more rounded. It has a shorter central groove here. This is shorter central groove, and these are the supplemental grooves. And due to the increased number of supplemental grooves, this gives the teeth, the occlusal surface, a wrinkled appearance. Wrinkled appearance. Other things which you can see from the occlusal surface are same. That is, it has a buccal cusp, it has a lingual cusp, it has marginal ridges, and it has a buccal surface which you can see. So this completes the maxillary premolars.